Good morning, everybody. Alakazam, my amazing friend. Alakazam, everyone. And also, Koopa. Good to see both of you. I hope you're both doing well today. And to everyone else who's currently out in the audience, hello there. I am the last Omnitech, your favorite robot American. And welcome to another episode of OMNI DRAWS GDANF Ain't No Fascist, a Helldivers 2 fan comic. I hope everyone's doing well today. It is a beautiful day here in Vermont. Current temperatures are sitting at, oh boy, a little spicy, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Whew. Up here in Vermont, that's pretty nuts. So, let's get to it, shall we? I hope you're all doing well. And aw, thank you. I'd say it's going good, if I'm being completely honest. I'm doing alright. We are kicking some things off. I've been sort of going a little bit late today. I apologize. It's been a sort of unfortunate habit as of late. I get a lot of stuff going on in the morning, especially with organizing events. And I gotta tell you, right now, organizing is kind of a thing, at least in the US and most of the Western world. So, I'm doing okay though, all things considered. And I'm ready to do a little bit of art. So, with that, let's get it on. We've got a couple of interesting things to work on today. So, today specifically, I'm going to be trying my best to work on a little bit of GDANF Ain't No Fascist environmental art, because I don't see a lot of people focusing on the really cool environments in Helldivers that aren't the players. But if you're talking about, like, fan comics and such, oftentimes they'll draw just, like, very stark, simple backgrounds. And that's fair. Most fan comic artists aren't landscape artists like I am. And the ones that are focusing on cranking something out faster and more reliably. On the other hand, I have committed myself like a maniac to releasing a comic every 2 weeks. And it's, like, full-color art. So I'm kind of just going to have to work around it. So today we're going to be working on a particular part of Helldivers lore that we don't often hear about very much. Which in this instance is... And also let's make sure the audio's not too loud for that. There we go. Okay, cool. So, one of the things that we don't hear too much about in Helldivers 2 is MERIDIA before it was cool. Hence the title. So if you're wondering what I mean by MERIDIA before it was cool, those of you who are familiar with MERIDIA from Helldivers... It actually has gone through quite a bit of change since we first saw it. MERIDIA used to be this really pretty kind of like green foresty environment, and then everything kind of went sideways. Long and short, going from left to right here, this is what MERIDIA used to look like. This beautiful, verdant forest. And then Super Earth got dumb and tried to actively sabotage their frontier in order to get political advantage, which is the only way to interpret their behavior. And they accidentally created the MERIDIA super colony by releasing a bunch of insecticide across the sector. And it apparently did what actual insecticide does. Alakazam, you and I were Floridians. You know what happens when you don't successfully take care of roaches with pesticide. They get used to it. And worse, they might get better for it. That's basically what happened to the MERIDIA super colony. They tried to gas the entire frontier of Terminids, killed 99.9% of them, and the remaining 0.1% of them became superbugs, more or less, and colonized all of MERIDIA, turning it into a giant hive world. Which then led them to deciding to collapse the entire thing with dark matter into a black hole, which unleashed the Illuminated into the galaxy. So, long and short, Super Earth does not have a very good track record with managing MERIDIA. Who'd have thought? Who would have thought fascists are bad at managing environments? And also, I'm glad you've been loving the comic. I appreciate you. I've really been enjoying making it. I can't wait to release what's coming next. And apparently I'm trying to screen cap something. There we go. Okay. So today we're going to be working on MERIDIA everything going to shit twice, because it is probably the most unfortunate planet in Helldivers. Few worlds have two apocalypses visited on it. And then, even after the second one, it becomes a nightmare for all people. Meridia is no longer a verdant green place. Meridia is now a gateway to a hellish empire that wants to destroy us. You know, talk about a rebrand, right? So we are going to work on trying to get the green Meridia. I've been looking at a lot of concept art and a lot of different environments. Meridia used to be qualified as what would be referred to as an arboreal world. So lots of green on Meridia. Tons of green on Meridia. I'm going to be using existing concept art and existing screen caps in order to properly capture what Meridia used to be. Salt flats. Alright, so let's start it off. Okay. So usually whenever I'm drawing something, I try to get the environment first. We're going to grab a little bit of the sky here. I'm literally using screen caps from Meridia on the left in order to make my palette. So if we're looking at the sky, that is Meridian Sky White. And I'm going to save this every chance I get. And oh, hey, look at that. A concept art thing I was working on for another project. Boop. Guess you'll see it later. I really should learn how to clean my desk off. You guys will see all sorts of things that you shouldn't see. That'll be fine. It's no big deal. Okay. So, this is like a slightly off-green kind of shade to it. There's a bluer tone to this. Here we go. In this area. Gotta keep that Control S handy. Yep, you really do. Or else it just all disappears so quickly. Alright. So we're gonna start by just, making a nice, pretty sky here. The actual ground, as I mentioned, is this sort of verdant green, and the lower atmosphere seems to be verdant green as well. So we're gonna run with that. And the further down it gets, we're going to make it darker green. Hello? That's weird. I'm going to save this fast. That's a weird glitch I've never seen before. Okay, there we go. I was like, what the hell is going on? It wasn't adjusting the color swatch. I swear, this normally doesn't happen to me. It happens to all guys occasionally. Every guy goes through it at one point. Okay. So let's put this at the right opacity. We're on 10. There we go. This should... Ah, there it is. It's taking its sweet time. Yes, it was. Alright. So we've got ourselves a nice meridian sky color going on here. We're going to put this at 5%. So we can blend this a little more effectively. Cool. Oops, sneak peek. You know, every once in a while, it happens to pop in, right? You just forget to clear something really cool off your desktop, and you think, well, why not, right? Let's just see if it's, if I can ignore it, and then I have to flop over to it, and you guys get to look at it, and I'm embarrassed. Oh, it's such a shame. Alright, so, we have our pretty good background skyline here. The next thing we're going to do is work on the actual environment. So, I want to depict a Meridian village. Because Meridia, as a culture, technically never had super cities. It never really had the mega cities that you see across Helldivers. Instead, it tended to have smaller settlements, and that's more what I'm going to be aiming for. So, we're looking for the tiny settlement structures that we often see. So in this case, probably dirt paths levels, maybe 100 to 200 people at most living in one of these enclaves. And these aren't just normal enclaves, these are also going to be Cyberstanian enclaves. We've mentioned it a couple of times, but the Cyberstanians in this setting are human. Remember, not just cyborgs, they're human. And after the first Helldivers War, the Great Interstellar War, what is it? Yeah, Intergalactic War. The first Intergalactic War, a lot of the Cyberstanians sort of went to ground and fled across the holdings of Super Earth. And I like to imagine they continue to exist in certain places. So here we go. We're going to start this with a... We'll start with like a mountain line in the distance. We'll put this at 100. And we're just going to have some very gentle sloping mountains in the distance. Alright. Now we can take this, lift it up a little higher. Funny thing is, I'm actually using Vermont as a reference here. I didn't mean to, but it's sort of how it shook out. Okay, that'll do. We got ourselves a nice environment. That's distant mountains. Saving. And we're just going to keep doing that. Okay, this is going to be closer mountains. More like foothills, really. Now, all this is going to disappear under a field of green, so we don't need to get too extreme with it. The important thing is to have multiple layers of mountains. This kind of more accurately depicts how light affects this sort of thing. So have you ever actually looked out in the distance, for those of you who actually live in parts of the world where you have, like, rolling mountains and hills and stuff? It's wild to live in a state that actually has hills and weather. Isn't it? Someone who, you and I both know. We came from Florida, we both went to mountainous places. I gotta say, it's really nice. But if you do live in a place with mountains, you're already familiar with this effect. That sort of like gentle fading into like a sky blue. So apparently this is due to the effect of light and the atmosphere. So as light diffuses through a medium, which in this case would be air, or around air, it actually loses color in increments. So the first color you tend to lose, actually, would be yellow, then shortly after red, then green, and one of the last colors you lose is blue and indigo. It's one of the reasons why that, you know, that line from, for those of you who are actually American, you probably know it. I think it's a Purple Mountains Majesty, for Purple Mountains Majesty. That line isn't because the mountains are actually purple. It's because as mountains stretch into the distance, the last color left is indigo. And so all the environmental color you see in mountains slowly bleeds away the further towards the horizon line it gets, until all you're left with is shades of indigo, and when that fades, it turns to white. That's the vanishing point. Technically, the horizon would count, but if you're on a mountain, you actually can see further than the normal 6 miles away. If you're in a perfectly flat plain and you were to look out into the ocean, technically that's like I think that's 3 miles to 6 miles? Hold on, let me check. It's been a while. Let's see. It's the curvature of the Earth. Yeah, I think as I recall, it's... Dude, turn that shit off. Yeah, about 3... Yeah, let's see. So it's about 3 miles? Yeah, you can see roughly about 3 miles away, give or take. So that's from the curvature of the Earth. From the top of a mountain, you can see significantly further. And as a result, these sort of weird optics start coming into play that you would normally not deal with. Normally, we don't actually see things truly fade that much. But mountain ranges get crazy. So here we go. So you've got the environment more or less mapped out. I feel pretty good about it. I'm going to go in here with a 25% eraser. And we're just going to slightly fix these up a little bit. Remove some of the rougher edges. Nothing too nutty. Okay. So let's get closer now. We have clouds, we can deal with that later. I want to actually do the environment. So, as far as settlements go, I'm thinking of, like, random names we can use. Cyberstan comes very close to Afghanistan and the other Stani nations, many of which are like somewhere between Middle Eastern and Middle European. There's that sort of Turkish area. There's like one particular way that they describe it, like the Soviet satellite states. That region is sort of what they're very clearly meant to be. So I feel like the Soviet satellite states, like choosing names or like settlement names from those areas is probably fair. So that's places like Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, East Germany. Probably less East Germany, just for the sake of that. So let's go with, like... You could also go with Ukraine, too. It's a pretty long list. Uzbekistan. I don't know anything about Uzbekistan. I should probably learn a little bit about Uzbekistan. Let's give a shot at that. Uzbekistan. Cities. I would love to see that. So here's some interesting ones here. Samarkand. Oh, Samarkand! That's where Samarkand is. I've actually heard of this one. Kokand? 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 I guess it's Kokand. K-O-K-A-N-D. It's not my fault. I blame Uzbekistan for the name of that. Margilan. Interesting. Famed for silk goods. I kind of like that. That sounds really nice. So that has a pretty large population, about 250,000. We can work with that. Okay, so the Tashkent city actually... And there's also there's Chimgan. Chimgan actually sounds pretty good. So I think we'll use Chimgan. We'll call this New Chimgan. So, Chimgan is actually kind of known primarily for being a mountain resort area for ski slopes, hiking trails, and fresh mountain air. It feels pretty fair. I kind of like that. Since we're doing like this really strong mountainous area... Yeah, and look at this. I'm going to just show you guys some actual pictures from the Chimgan region. Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. Nice rolling mountainous hills with nice forests and the environment around it. Yeah, we got this. We totally got this. Okay. Now, it also works pretty well because apparently MERIDIA had a lot of ocean on it. It was actually known for having one continuous landmass, and then just a massive, beautiful ocean. And so we're going to work around that. We have closer mountains, distant mountains, and we have one more thing I'm going to add then, which is distant water. So we're going to use sea green, like a deep sea green. And we're going to add this. Technically, it's going to be behind all these. Saved. And we'll just say this is on the edge of the ocean here. This feels appropriate for us. This gives us a nice diversity of environment. Cool. Now we got this. We have our deep ocean, and as you go towards the actual, like, distance... When you sort of, like, again, fade to the greatest distances possible, you sort of get this, like, deep indigo blue then cut off. So we might do that. I kind of like the idea of, like, a sea green, almost. Let's try that. Let's try that out, eh? That's very dark. A little too strong. 5% might do it better. There we go. 5% with a smaller brush will get us where we need to go. Now, we're going to have this with the sun in the distance, so I kind of want to be careful with it. I don't want it to become too strong. And usually you have like a lighter shade on there. So let's go with like a white, reflective white here. And I'm going to try this. Let's see how that looks. We'll do this at a 15. Okay. And I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Basically, you want the whitest point to be where the sun is, because that's going to be where it reflects the most. I actually don't know what color the star of this world is. I genuinely don't know. So we're going to work with that. We're going to figure that out together, you and me. We're going to do some stellar digging. So if I go to MERIDIA here, it looks like it's a yellow sun, I think. It's not really showing me much of it. But that looks like a white-yellow sun. So we can go with a white-yellow sun. Okay, cool. So that's going to be ocean. And now I can sort of go in there with an eraser and go ham. Nice. Cool. So that works for me. We've got this nice, deep, distant ocean. We're going to have a star hanging out over it. Let's put our sun in the distance. We'll have a white-yellow main sequence star. So we're going to start with a little bit of yellow, just like a hair. Put that closer to 25%, please, so I can actually fucking see it. Oh, it's on erase. That'll do it. It's like, wait, it's not even showing up? That's odd. Let's put it here. As high in the sky as we can get it. Distantly above. And we're going to get that as stark white as we can. And then just jack it up to max. There we go. Okay, so that gives us this very, like, it almost looks childish how this looks, but it will slowly become more appropriate in its shading, because I'm going to be adding effects such as fog and mist. This is just getting us those basic layers. So, we've got all that. We're going to get our clouds going. Now, I have a couple of really cool stencils that I use for clouds sometimes, and I might still do that here. Just for the sake of it. But for now, this will do. Flip that over here so I can get that brighter shade of white. So this will hover over the star, make sure things aren't super obvious. There we go. Okay. And in doing this, this will also give us a little depth to our clouds here. Alright. Yeah, because I do use stencils occasionally for clouds and such. It does help, but, like, for this instance, I really wanted to do it myself. Nice. Okay, cool. Now, we can actually adjust the skyline a little bit. I kind of want to add a little bit more of that blue. That environmental blue, kind of. We're going to put this at 10%. Not 100, 10%. Somewhere between the two extremes, please. There we go. That's going to give us a nice depth of field. There we go. So we've already got ourselves a pretty decent, like, distant light right there. Now let's start adding a little bit of the actual structure of what we want to do. So, new Chimgan. I kind of like the idea that this place is sort of like this, just more up-close structure. So we're going to go to a couple of, like, drawings here that I'm referencing. Okay. So the scale of this is a little different. I'm going to have... We need to have a foreground for this. So let's do our foreground. I'm going to slap this bad boy down. Okay. We're going to put this on 75 here. There we go. Cool. So that gives us a deep green, sort of like a mossy, kind of gunky sort of color, which is what we sort of want. We're going to then go to this green again. We're going to make it a little more yellowy green. That'll do. I actually go a little deeper into like a deep, almost volcanic red. That kind of works. Alright, cool. Let's darken it even further. Put that at 25. Darken it way further. Put that at 35. Cool. So this gives us like a muddy kind of terrain, which works for me. Okay, so we've got this deep, ruddy brown. We're going to start adding in a little bit of environmental, like, sketching. So we're going to start the most basic doodles here. I'm going to go to a pure black, and we're going to get started. So I like the idea of lots of trees around this place. Because, again, this is MERIDIA, and MERIDIA is famed for having a bunch of trees. I'd love to see this a full-size image. There we go. Okay. And a lot of these trees are almost like palm trees, kind of. They have, like, more traditional, we'd consider, like, bushes and such, but a lot of their trees have, like, a very palmish kind of feel to them. There's also lots of stone. So we're going to have some big trees. I don't want to block out too much of the environment beyond. So we're going to have a limit to how high this goes. I'm going to put a cap on this side. So we're going to have a nice framing here. Some trees going off into the distance. And now we're going to start doodling the actual structure. Just a quick little bit. I'm going to put a 25% opacity over this so we can see places. And that's a little bit of a shame we're not going to see that blue on the left. You know, happy little accidents, right? That's how it goes. Bob Ross will be proud. I hope you're doing good, Bob Ross, wherever you are. And I know he's, you know, wishing well. I'm aware. You don't need to. You're not breaking any news to me. I know. Okay, cool. So we're looking pretty decent here. We have ourselves some solid structure we can work off of in terms of the environment. Cool. So this is going to be our tree layer. So usually you want to have something centering an environmental structure. Like, that's just how you want to do art. You want to have a centerpiece. So there's two ways to do it. You can either have a thing in the middle that's very obvious and big. So, you know, a thing. A big thing. I don't know what the thing is, but a thing. Look at that thing. That's a structure that's a thing. And then have littler stuff around it. But that doesn't work here because we're framing the actual path. So that tells me that we're going to use the center, which is going to be mostly, I believe the proper term for this would be negative space. So we're going to be using the environment. Hello? Did that just close the art reference I was using? Yes, it did. Of course it did. There we go. I actually want that. Thank you. So I like the idea of this place having like a big sort of structure off here to the side. Super Earth is very like, it's not quite fully brutalist, but it's a little brutalist in its architecture. Just like a hair. So we're going to have this going here. You can have smaller habs and such living nearby. So let's work this out fast. I want to have this structure be the darkest. So let's just go to 45 and just start cutting into it. This is going to be our nearest structure. And I want it to be a little whimsical, you know? We're going to lose this place. So it's got to mean something. It's got to be somewhere you don't want to see get destroyed. So that means a lot of this is going to be very lived in, I suspect. So we'll have walkways around here. Plenty of fun little walkways. Hey, Paul, good to see you. Yeah, we're doing the drawing. I'm doing some work on Gentry Delon Ain't No Fascist today. How you doing, buddy? And we can have a little porch out here as well. And I like the idea that these guys sort of have like an over-the-water settlement. So maybe there's like a river or something running through here. That would track. So we could have some antennas going up here. There we are. Just gonna cut through that. Yeah, trying to make a lovely little forest environment that's gonna get horribly destroyed eventually. Cool. So we got that. Usually they have a couple, like, it's almost like a cell tower, sort of. Has multiple structures on it. And then usually those are tied down. They have some tension wires there. And there's usually like a little like roof or something on here. Like a more traditional little building top. Here we go. That looks nice. That looks livable. And then over here, I want to have like a thing that makes this place look actually nice, you know? Fun, lovely, delightful. Somewhere you'd want to actually live. Because we have the brutalism of Super Earth, and then we have the Cyberstanian, like, houses. Which I don't want to be too brutal. I want them to look almost, like, locally improvised. So gonna give them some nice, like, slightly curved hobbit doors. Gonna have a nice part on top here on the roof. And it's just gonna have, like, this nice little overarching part. It sort of comes out almost like a longhouse a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we've got some structure already that I'm really liking. I'm really liking this. Let's have a little more of this closer structure here. Same thing. I want this place to look lovely. I want this to be the sort of place that when you hear that it's destroyed, you're sad about. As opposed to just miserable Meridia. That planet, everyone was just like, oh, just blow it up. It's so terrible to fight on. I don't want that. Not for this. Okay, so you have our basic silhouette here. Cool, cool. Ooh, and it keeps doing that. Stop. There we are. So we're going to save this. So you have our building silhouette, and we have our tree layer silhouette. It's coming along nicely, I dare say. But I want to do a little bit of work with the environment. So, I don't think I've ever seen Cyberstan. Helldivers 1. I've seen a lot of art. It's very, like, white and stark, as I recall. And it has, like, a reddish kind of hue to it, almost. But I can't tell if that's just a game mechanic or not. So let's see. So the Cyberstanians in Helldivers 1 were literally folks who were forced to mine underground to get materials Super Earth needed to propagate its war. And they were literally forced to become cyborgs in order to properly mine. More or less the conditions were so extreme that they were dying otherwise. And so eventually, when they started actually, like, getting used to being cyborged and all that, which is a horrible experience, they started realizing while cyborged, they could sync their minds together and create a near-perfect democratic system. And so they basically created this socialist utopia system, or they rejected the idea of Super Earth's managed democracy, which is basically just autocracy, where you answer a quiz and then a computer votes for you. And the Cyberstanians thought, what if we just voted ourselves, and we just don't vote for you? We just leave. So they seeded, they had built their own little empire, and eventually Super Earth planned a false flag on their territory, where they pinned it on a Cyberstanian, like, terrorist, who, from what we can tell, wasn't even from Cyberstan. They just literally false flagged it. And so these people were turned into the target du jour and annihilated by Super Earth for political reasons, which is really unfair. But not all of them were destroyed. In fact, actually, the genocide was far from complete. There are two groups of survivors. The initial survivors of Cyberstan were the ones who fled Cyberstan during a diaspora. Now, this is where I get into my own comic lore. I believe the diaspora is wide. I believe, like a lot of real-life circumstances where there's an encroaching war or genocide, thousands flee in advance, usually, even from the smallest regions. And this is an entire, like, subsector, so I think millions probably fled Cyberstan and took cover in the colonial rim around Super Earth and its holdings. Quiet places where they could go to ground, build settlements, and survive, and continue to endure. Whereas the other survivors were unfortunately those who fought in the war against Super Earth, and they were forced back into the mines, now in prisons. So literally they had gulags on Cyberstan, where they were forced to mine. As far as we can tell, since the bots took back over, that's probably no longer a thing. Although whether or not the original cyborgs are still alive, or whether they've been fully roboticized and become members of the automatons, I don't know. They leave that very up in the air, and that's very good for me, because I get to do a bunch of art about it. But But yeah, this is ostensibly Cyberstan. That deep red and white. The reason I care about it is because those colors will inform our environment here. So we have a lot of stark white, so let's start it off. So this is going to be new Chimgam color pass. We're going to save this fast. Cool. So let's begin. We have ourselves a pale white structure. We don't want it to be too sharp here. Closer to that. There we go. And then we have this structure here, which sort of comes in, rides to the side of the building a little bit. Here we go. Super Earth has this weird modular structure for a lot of their buildings. It's very new agey cyberpunk style. In that sense where it's like, it needs to look futuristic so people who live in it think they're living in the future. And in reality, they're living in a miserable existence. But we don't need them to know that. We just need them to know that they're living in the future. It's very much Super Earth's aesthetic. It's very much a retro-futurism gone wildly rampant. Hold on, there we go. We're gonna do that there. Okay, so we've got that module. That module. Shh. Secret future things. Shh. 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 We all know Super Earth is evil. They don't make any ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if there's anybody out there who thinks that, yeah, no, you're right. It's future. It's future. Be peaceful. If anyone out there doesn't really think that Super Earth is evil, I highly encourage you to reevaluate yourself. I say this as someone who loves this game, who loves this franchise, and I have loved many other science fiction dystopian franchises before. I used to play Warhammer 40k, I used to play a bunch of those games, I still play, like, Trench Crusade and stuff, but if there's one thing you should never fall into the habit of, it's hero-worshipping the fascists, okay? I'm just saying, they're not good people. It's okay. You play a baddie. It's fine. That's actually part of the point. You play a baddie. Be okay playing a baddie, please. Please. Stop lionizing these guys. They're not good. And even the game directors even agree. There should be no debate here. Okay, so we've got this module here. I'm going to take a look at something. I think they got, like, a double divot here. Yeah, they do. There's, like, a divot on that side. Everything's got, like, this weird double structure to it in Super Earth, which is very cool. They've got these windows. So this is going to be a 2-story building, I believe. Here we go. We're going to do that. Nice. Alright, cool. So you have these nice, like, sort of pontooned, raised structures here. And we do the same thing with this. So again, I like the idea that this is actually on, like, a riverfront or something equivalent to it. Okay, this will give us a little bit more shape to these structures. Okay, beautiful. Then we have the edge of this. And again, I'm kind of going for like a very chill sort of like these were handmade kind of buildings. I like we have this very clearly like pre-constructed fab, like prefab building here by Super Earth, and then you have where the actual Cyberstanians have made their homes, and that's nicer and cozier, and they've clearly put a lot of themselves into it. So we're going to keep the color scheme of the Cyberstanian Empire to an extent. To an extent. For starters, Cyberstanians really liked red. It was like one of their base colors. What a surprise, they're a literal communist analog. Like, not even maybe. They're very obviously meant to be like Soviet, like satellite state. So we're going to run with that. We're going to keep bright cherry red in there. It's going to be a welcoming cherry red, as opposed to the hostility we often see depicted in a lot of depictions of Soviet colors and Soviet structure. I want these guys to look like they're happy, not like they're miserable. That's for Super Earth. That's not for these guys. So over here, we're going to have like a nice sort of roof leaning over that. I have the idea there's maybe a railing on this, and folks can be on top. Then we have this coming out over here. So it's got a very bayou kind of feel to it, which is good. I want that. So you've already got this structure more or less pinned down to what we want it to be. Shape-wise, anyway. We're going to do the same thing here. Cool. I want this to be one of the few oases of actually decent life in Super Earth. Like, in Super Earth's expanse. I'm not saying the Super Earth doesn't have plenty of places where you can, like, live a nice life. But, like, it's not because of Super Earth. It's in spite of Super Earth. These people endure. Not because Super Earth is helping them. Because they learned how to endure themselves. Paul, you're familiar with the common notions. That's kind of what I'm going vibe-wise here for these guys. And we're just going to go ahead, put that through. There we are, and we're just going to push this through here. I am indeed, yes. That's kind of the vibe I'm going for here. There's a lot of that energy in Helldivers where you see that, like... Have you ever thought about the fact that in Helldivers, for those of you guys who are out there who actually play the game, or who are watching this, you're familiar with the game or the setting. Have you ever noticed that Super Earth only ever talks about Super Earth? That's one planet. One planet. Super Earth's current territorial claim goes all the way to, and I'm just going to open this up as far as I can get it. Where are you? Oh, here we go. So I can close this, and we're just going to see how much Super Earth controls. How many planets Super Earth controls in Helldivers 2? Because it's got to be a lot. There's got to be several hundred planets, at the very least, in the star chart. Galactic War, planets, biomes. I'm just going to do a list. There are 55 sectors around Super Earth. 262 planets of note. 262 planets. And many of those planets have populations in the hundreds of millions, if not billions, with a B. Super Earth has many billions. But this is a civilization where Super Earth is the distinct minority. And yet we only ever hear about Super Earth. They are only ever talking about Super Earth. Ever. In their lore. In their world building. In their culture. And that's intentional. They're fascists. And as fascists, they can't have people outside of Super Earth. They can't talk about what's going on outside of Super Earth. That's for anyone who's not, you know... why would you care? You shouldn't care about that. Super Earth is all that matters. And I'm sitting here going like, yeah, that's very indicative of their culture. That's very indicative of their culture, or rather, their lack thereof. And we're going to just take this. And then we're going to have that sort of sunk in a little bit. Cool, cool, cool. This works. Now this is a lighter shade here, so it's going to get the lighter treatment. Nice. Maybe more than 5? Yeah, just more than 5. So as a result, Super Earth likes to talk about the quality of living on Super Earth all the time. It's one of their big things, like, you know, super citizens have lived in dignity and peace on these frontier worlds. Yeah, Super Earth's not anywhere there. You see a couple of prefabs, but that really has little to do with Super Earth. The majority of Super Earth's holdings are actually largely elsewhere. They really couldn't care less about the frontier. The frontier is at best a very convenient scapegoat for them. At worst, it's just an experiment in the wings, waiting for a uniquely, distinctly upsetting warlord to decide, hey, I wonder what happens if we subject a colony to annihilation on this specific weird science project. And they get it. So this is kind of why I'm doing this comic. I want to give life to the rest of Super Earth's holdings. I also want to make people well aware of, like, the God, how do I describe this? The average person knows Super Earth is a thinly veiled, super thinly veiled, sardonic parody. I'm going to keep a lot of the parody there, but I think I would like to reframe it a little more dramatically. And also make it very clear that, you know, who the good guys are. Just in case people are still fucking not sure. And that's a distressing number of people who seem to really not be sure. Do I take their personal political education into my own hands? No, I don't. But I do want to, like, you know, I want to let folks see, like, this is a thing we deal with. This isn't just crazy, goofy fantasy. We struggle with this shit. At least in the US. I can't speak for the rest of the world. You guys seem to be doing better than us right now. That's a very low bar to set, so... Speaking of, today I'm going to be going on a totally unrelated note. And again, for those of you who watch my streams, you'll know I do talk about politics from time to time. And some of you guys will go, ew, and I'll say, you're playing Helldivers. The fuck you mean you don't talk about politics? You kidding me? Get the fuck out. Bullshit. Goofy. Goofy goobers. Go. No. I talk about politics occasionally because I actually do work in that field. I do. Right now, I'm currently in the process of helping organize for universal healthcare in the state of Vermont. And it's just one front of many struggles that we're all working on. We don't need violence to see that some things are very screwed up right now. And I think it is a pretty reasonable... I think that these are, like, things that we often miss in science fiction, where we make our villains so comically evil. They're like, no, that would never happen. Like, actually, like, you don't need to be on Super Earth to be struggling to pay your to pay your bills. Like, in the United States, it is extremely common, in fact, for the average person to not be able to afford healthcare. That's, like, baseline. That's, like, not an exception. That's the rule. The average person will forego medical treatment because they simply do not have the means to access it. That's not healthy. That's not a healthy world, and we should be aware of that. And so I feel like Helldivers provides us with a very timely moment. It's a very timely cultural tool for people to see the very real things we're struggling with here. And I like the idea of Gentry Delon because the webcomic allows me to frame these struggles that are depicted as being goofy levels of over the top, and depict them instead as personal struggle. I think that's something really valuable. Speaking of which, if you haven't watched Andor, go watch Andor. It's very good. Tuckin' Wild. Yeah. Science fiction's always existed to paint our world in stark contrast. Whether that be in stark contrast of, like, crazy adventure, like Star Wars often does, or with, like, extraordinary parable, or to depict a darker, grittier version of our world, but one that has some familiar traits, like Dune does all the time. You'll see all science fiction tends to just be science reference more than truly fiction nowadays. And that's good. That's it doing its job. It's when science fiction doesn't start referencing these things that I start getting worried about science fiction as a whole. It's actually one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of, like, besides the fact that Rebel Moon is just, like, the schlockiest thing ever. One of the things I never liked about it is it very much fills that niche of, like, all the things that made, like, Star Wars, but without any of the actual cultural punch. It takes the teeth out of it, basically, and turns it into a generic action story, and that's not good. There's nothing wrong with a generic action story, but science fiction is meant to be a reflection. It's unfortunately holds itself to a higher standard of what it's supposed to be making. IMO. I don't know, I'm making opinions. I'm being spicy on the internet. Somebody stop me. No, nobody stop me. It's my channel. I get to do what I want. Okay, cool. But anyway, yes, later today I'm going to be actually doing a little bit of work locally, politically. At the moment, as happens across many different states in the Union, in the US anyway, we are seeing rate hikes for health insurance across the whole country. And for us, in Vermont, when they want to hike rates, they actually have to go before our local board, and we have, like, this Green Mountain Care Board, basically Medicaid board. The state-run healthcare system. We do have one, it's just very... You need to be poor. Super poor to qualify. I qualify. And so, yeah. They need to go before them and ask permission, but it's usually just a rubber stamp. So today, a lot of us, like we often do, are going to be showing up and basically telling them, "Kark off, we want our healthcare." And that's going to be fun. As soon as the stream is over, I'm basically going to be doing my testimony, so we'll see how that goes. Heckin' spicy. Spicy thoughts. People deserve healthcare. Spicy thoughts. You should be nice to each other. Spicy thoughts. Authoritarianism is not a good thing. But yeah, so I'm going to be doing that later today. That's going to be fun. And I mean that literally, because it is actually kind of fun. It is fun to be able to spit fire at people who desperately deserve it. Especially those who are screwing us. And I do mean that quite literally. So, yeah, I'm A-okay with it. I hate the circumstance that makes me do it, but I think we're at the point now where there's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, I like shouting at these assholes. Let them hear you. They need to hear you. Not because they'll listen, because they need to be made to understand what they're screwing with. And here in our state, they're screwing with our healthcare. I think this year they're aiming to increase costs by 75% for the average person, like increase the charge. Which is insane. If you live in the United States, you know how ludicrous that is. Like how unaffordable that is. And we're one of the few states that actually has these hearings. Most people just don't know about it till it shows up inside of their, their mail. They're like, oh yeah, this next appointment's going to cost you $50,000 or something ludicrous. So like, yeah, no, bullshit. We're calling bullshit on it. This is going to be an interesting day today, for sure. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I like working on Gentry. It's a great opportunity for me to take the anger and frustration I feel in the real world and channel it into something that I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys read, and I hope you guys can hear what I'm trying to say beneath it. Even if the message is overstated and overplayed, I don't care. I can't imagine it's a bad thing to have yet one more person screaming about how fucked up things are. Especially when they're this fucked up. Okay. So that building feels right. That feels pretty nice. I kind of want to add, like, little other details to this. I'm thinking, like, wrapping cloth around this a little bit. Like sheets or that kind of thing, like flags, decorating it, making it very lived in. I think that's the way we get these buildings to look good. Here we go. We're going to take this here. Perfect. So it has kind of like nice bungalow looking sort of structure here. I really like it. It's really nice. And then we're going to just take that there. Okay, cool. So I definitely want to have water running through this village. I definitely want water running through this village. If there was ever a doubt before, it's gone now. I really do want that. And also I like the idea that these roofs are kind of like partially segmented a little bit. Like there's plastic. Okay, that'll do. That looks pretty nice. They're still using prefab components, but now they're a little bit nicer. Okay, so that looks nice so far. I need to bring this aesthetic in line with the aesthetic I've got going over here on the left. Sorry, on my right. Normally I know the difference, but today apparently I don't. Bugger. Alright, so we're going to take that here. Put it there, like this. And also, if anybody's got any questions about the webcomic or anything they'd like to ask, please feel free. I'm happy to engage with you guys. This is a live stream, after all. Unlike most YouTube, I actually can directly engage with you guys. Here we go. Cool. And then we just sort of take that, put that here. Here we go. Hello. Hello, Paul. Hello. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Alright, so. Our environment's looking pretty good. I'm going to start adding some splashes of color onto this. This is actually not our color pass. This will be a silhouette pass. Yeah, shading pass. We're going to start doing some coloration now, once I get some of the details in here done. I want to have lighting sconces on here. There we go. So, I'm already going to have it where I believe the most logical thing this planet could have in terms of its advantages, like in terms of its industry, because it does need industry. Unfortunately, this is still Helldivers. This is not a perfect utopia. These people still live under a miserable capitalistic system that demands them do unending work for the state. I believe that the solution to that is to have them being terminid farmers. I believe they harvest the oil, which is E710. Yeah, element E710, element oil, literally, if you ever write it out. So I like that idea that these guys all deal with that in different ways. So for them, I like the idea that they're actually like terminid ranchers, like actual ranchers. They live in their cozy little homes, they come out, they ranch the terminids, they process them, they raise them. For them, they're indistinguishable from cattle. Which is ethically screwed no matter what, because if you know your lore, that's a sapient species they're literally feeding into a grinder for oil, because they make oil with their bodies. But I like the idea of it. I think it's an interesting one. That for them, these people try to live in like a slightly more equal way to the terminids. It's a source of life for them in the same way that like cattle ranchers don't like to torture their animals. Like they want their animals to live a decent quality of life before they go to market. Because it makes them taste better, and it makes lives easier for everyone involved. And this might be unnecessary, adding this much white to this platform. No, actually looks okay. It looks fine. Finding random economy needs is hard. Yeah, just a little bit. But we got it. We nailed it. So, yeah, these guys are all terminid ranchers. Which should dovetail nicely with Gentry's mom, since Gentry's mom actually works as I recall last, she's a Seif researcher who works on terminid sciences and biology. So she's probably here working to understand the terminids better. Cool. Alright, we've got ourselves a pretty good shading going on here. Let's add... hold on. Saved. There we go. Cool. Let's start adding some color. And I'm going to add tree color. Okay, cool. So let's get our base colors down here. I want to have a very simple kind of like off-white. They have like this off-white, this bone white shade, which we can use for the structure here. We're going to do this as an overlay here. There we go. So the actual metallics of this, I'm going to leave gray. Because it's like a shitty sort of offbeat, like, tin. It's not like polished metal or anything. It's just that rugged kind of, we use this metal on everything color. We're going to do the same thing here. Get this little building up here. Same materials, what's behind it. Actually, that top needs to be darker. Here we go. Perfect. Cool, so we've got that white. We're going to leave the gray down there. And now we need the accent color, which is going to be that red. I kind of want to do the same thing here for these halves. So, hold on. We're going to go here. Fill this out. Alright, cool. So I'm liking the bone white so far. It's actually working pretty well. Yeah, it's this nice creamy bone white, and it works really well on just these environmental conditions. It stands out against the green of the trees because it's a red, technically. It's yellow, but it has more of a warm color than the rest of the trees, which are very neutral. We're going to do the same thing here. The poles I'm going to actually have instead be red. When I get there, be like a nice ruddy kind of brick red, I'm thinking. Or like a mahogany kind of red. So let's swap over to that red. I'm going to literally use the same coloration that we had on... Here we go. Yeah. I'm going to use the same exact coloration that they had on Cyberstan. This should work. Yeah, it's got like that rosy kind of pink to it. Let's make it a little darker. Let's make it 45. There we go. Beautiful. It's got that nice, almost like pink kind of color to it. I like that. That has like a good color to it. Hey, Bardo! Love you, buddy! Good to see you, pal! It's been way too long. Truly it has. I hope you're doing well. How has life been, my friend? Everyone, my amazing friend Bardo, an incredible old member of my community, and just the coolest dude. Miss you every day, buddy. And I won't pretend social anxiety has prevented me from reaching out, because social anxiety has prevented me from reaching out, because I'm full of bees. But it's really good to see you. By the way, Bon wishes you well, too. Hopes you're doing well and hopes you're feeling good. We're gonna go with this one. Yeah, that nice red everywhere. Here we go. We're just going to add that red in. Beautiful. So yes, this will tie the whole place together, I think. This will be a good color combo. Life has been ups and downs. Life will be... Have to catch up soon. Hell yes, please. Keep me in the loop, buddy. Keep me in the loop. I like the idea that maybe the floors are also... Like, nah, that should be like... Just the edges of this. Just the ridges. But yes, reach out to me. PM me anytime you want, brother. I'm always happy to hear from you. It's been way too long. Truly it has been. And I really want to chat. And let's pull this over here. Beautiful. Okay, so we got that nice red. I like that. I actually really like that. I'm going to keep that. So it should be easier to visit soon, actually. Planning on moving to Michigan in the next 2-ish years. Oh, damn. That's a hell of a big deal. Yeah, you'll need to catch me up on that. That's for sure. And you're always welcome to come visit us in White River Junction. You're always welcome. And it is a lot closer. I'll give you that. It's certainly significantly closer. You actually share, I believe you share a border with us? No, you don't, but you come close. Well, it depends which side, because it's like 2 states. Michigan's weird. Every state is weird. I don't know why they drew that weird arbitrary line, but they did. So, but that's awesome, buddy. Okay, so let's put this in here. Yeah, okay, I was right. These red posts absolutely selling it. But I'm super stoked. Super stoked. Oh, man, I hope the move goes well. It's not close, but it's definitely closer. Yeah, there's not an ocean between us. An ocean and $1,000 fare between you and I, depending on the time of year. Okay, cool. This looks good. This looks alright. It looks alright. Looks good. It's okay. It's looking alright. Okay, so we got this nice, like, war brick sort of shade going on here. We're gonna do that. And we're gonna pull that over here. Cool, cool. Alright, I think we've got it. That's a nice layered shade. And if I can just put that under there, and I'll sort of give it a nice coloration. Yeah, there we go. Little Titanfall 2 nostalgia with this piece too. Yeah, there's a little bit of it. Just a hair. I won't pretend that drawing Gentry hasn't been an opportunity for me to, like, dust off some of the old concepts and stuff from that. Oh man, Titanfall 2. I miss it so much. Do you remember when Titanfall 2 was a game that wasn't completely psychotic? I do. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Oh my god. I haven't played Titanfall 2 in so long. It's a fun game. It's just the community's so crazy lately. You know, it's a dead game. So, like, as a result, dead game, crazed community goes hand in hand. I'm thinking for this... I'm, like, just looking through some of my concepts here. See what I'm going for. We used to squat up in Team Fortress 2 days. Those were the days? Yeah. I remember that, too. I'm always... For the record, I hope you know, buddy, again, I'm always open to playing with you, right? Like, if you ever have the time or energy, and you want to squad up and, like, well, I might not play Titanfall 2 anymore, I've uninstalled it. I still play Destiny. I still play, like, Helldivers. I still play, like, hell, I play Marvel Rivals now. Like, I'm willing to play damn near anything. I played Space Marine for a while, too. I'm willing to reinstall it. I'd only uninstalled it because I needed space on my drive. Curses. Let's see, we're gonna do a darker color here. Yeah, we'll do multiply on that. I only play Warframe these days. Oh, God. I want to play Warframe so bad. I can't. It's too big. It's literally too big for my drive. It murders me. This is what I get for doing a webcomic. Webcomics eat all your time, and namely, they eat your hard drive. Let's be real. That's the real consideration here. My hard drive is basically screaming. I guarantee you, though, the second I get a hard drive update, oh, I'm getting into Warframe again. I haven't played my Volt in way too long. He's probably just sitting there twiddling his thumbs in dark space, just like, the hell? You ever gonna pick this up again, or eh? We're gonna do this as a dark in here. There we go. You ever the space we know? You played it before? I did, actually. I played as Volt. That was my primary one. I had another one that I briefly, like, messed around with. But I think Volt was the one I just very much enjoyed. What a surprise. I like the Speedster. Speedster's fun. Speedster is enjoyable. I like Speedsters. It also just had a really fun power set, I think, was kind of the trick. I played Excalibur for a teeny bit. It was okay. Resoundingly okay. It's not my forte. I prefer having more mobile characters. I think it just comes with my... I'm used to playing solo in a lot of games. And so, as a result, having a character that's physically fast is like just an easy way to not die. It's like just the go-to, like, hey, I need to live. Cool, pick the fast guy. He literally will be so fast, you cannot shoot him. Plus, there's also something that's very fun about a powers-based character. Oh, wow, yeah, that wood splash just immediately picked it up. You get very far, the game has changed so much over the years. Volt was my first, now I have Gauss, which is mega speed. Yeah, that's fair. I feel you on that. I don't want to say I didn't get very far. The problem was when I was playing, you still had to go through the incredibly painful grind quests at the beginning, where it's just like, you need to go through each planet, and go through each planet's, like, center, and fight the little planet boss. And the planet bosses are, like, actually kind of broken in certain instances. And I was sitting there like, why? Why are you time gating me? I never got to the main plot, which is what's very frustrating. I got into the game's plot at the beginning, and I was like, I really want to get to the... What is it? The Second War? Something like that? Basically, I really wanted to get to the part where I got to actually make my Tenno. Never got there. Very annoyed by it. I got all the way through killing so many dudes, and then I got to the planet, and it's like, you have one more to do. And I looked at it, I'm like, no, I don't. I have like 2 more at least. So done. I think that was around the time I started playing a lot of Destiny as well again. Like, things started picking up in that. So I was like, okay, if I gotta choose one game to dominate my life forever. The Second Dream. Thank you. That's what I wanted to get to. I was still too far from it. There was like, I think 2 planets away from it before I even started. And I was just like, yeah, no. I've been grinding this for literally days, weeks on end. It was not... It was such a painful experience. Which is very frustrating because the actual gameplay is very fun. Like, the game is very good. It is very good. I know how good it can be. I've seen people play it. My friends all played it. I played it. And I know the plot is excellent when it gets going. The game mechanics are great. But if I have to go into one more arena and fight the same, like, fight one more artificially controlled frame in a very fixed PvP battle, I was gonna be very, very pissy. There we go. Alright, cool. Alright, now I just gotta get in there and sort of get this little bit, and... Cool, cool, cool. Because when we zoom this out, like, most of you guys are only gonna see this, like, in this. Like, this is gonna be an actual background to a comic. So there's gonna be a bunch of stuff over it. This is a good start. This is a good start. Okay. Let's get our color overlay again and really start carving into this. I want to add some more, like, detail onto this. There you go. One of the only AAA companies with good enough morals, too. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Digital Extremes seems really freaking cool. In fairness, Digital Extremes basically is doing the hard path, but that's the path that's worth doing. I hope they never sell out. I genuinely do. Or if they do, I hope they sell out long after I'm dead. The video games industry needs a good guy. Or at least a not evil guy. A not pure evil guy, please. So we're just going to put some vents in here. I'm literally borrowing this design for this building pretty much one-to-one off of an existing Helldivers schematic. This is more or less the art of... oh, this is a fan concept. Nice. This is a motor pool piece by Alam Pangraxa. Pangraxa? Pangraxa. Alam Pangraxa. So that's more or less what I'm borrowing here for this. I'm just making it less of a motor vehicle, like, depot, less of a motor pool, and more of a, just a hab. See, I'm happy to give it my money and appreciate my time and wallet. Yeah, no, I feel you on that. That's actually where I'm kind of at for wargaming, in the same vein. Where it's like, oh yes, I love wargaming, but 90% of wargaming companies are pure evil, and I am so done giving, especially, well, I shouldn't say 90%. I should say the big one that makes up 90% of it. I'm done giving those guys my money. It's the same thing with Wizards of the Coast, generally speaking, in like D&D. The game might be good, but the company is very evil. It's so evil. I cannot support ye. So now I just play one-page rules in Trench Crusade and a couple of other fun games, and it's been a blast. It really has been, actually. I've got a whole Trench Crusade squad, warband, sitting on my table right here. Been converting the crud out of these guys. Let's see, I'll give it a shot. Little peek at OMNI's wargaming table. It's been very fun converting these guys. So, like, you know, I feel you about that. The swapping to a hobby that doesn't make you hate it is so important, and such a pivotal thing to do nowadays. Alright, so we've got this. There's a little more we can do. So I'm just going to add a little more details here and there where I can. There we go. Okay. Talking about Wizards of the Coast, I might hit you up at some point. Warframe just announced their own Starfinder TTRPG. Seems fun. Hell yeah, that's cool. I think that's awesome, honestly. Luckily not owned by Wizards, so it's a win. Oh yeah, no. That's always a good sign. As someone who used to do a lot of stuff with folks who were involved in D&D, and now does not, because D&D is evil, gotta tell you, real big fan. Real big fan of not supporting that company. There's so many great indie TTRPGs out there. And so I'm happy to see Warframe's making their own. I always thought that a good campaign for that would be Numenera. But I think that I would like to see their own take on it. If it's anywhere near as robust as the Cyberpunk TTRPG that they released, I think a lot of people will be very happy. And I know they have Soulframe out. That looks cool. Or, you know, it's in beta, but, like, a lot of folks are excited about that. I'm excited about that. Let's put these little knobs on the roof here. I don't know what they do. Maybe they're lights. They're probably lights. There we go. How does that look? Pretty good. We're getting there. We're getting there. Just got accepted into it, haven't booted up yet. Too busy with Warframe, but I'm excited. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Let me know how you like it. I'm sure it'll be great. These guys release quality products. Here we go. Put this here. And we're just gonna put this right along here. This should look good. Then we're gonna fill that in with a nice darkened layer. And after this, we're gonna save, because I just realized it's been a hot minute since I've saved, and I should save. I'll regret it if I don't save. Regret it immensely if I don't save. Save. Oh my god. Alright. This is looking pretty decent. Let's get down here, add a little more detail, shall we? And we're just adding some nice sketches in here. We're approximating a door locking mechanism. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to look good enough. It needs to look good enough to look real, to look accurate. And that looks pretty good to me. Hey, Kong, good to see you. Hey, it's great to see you both. Doing good, doing good. Just working on the webcomic today and vibing. Getting a little environmental art done, you know the drill. Also, Lee sends her love to you too, hopes you're doing well. Everyone, Kung, another one of my awesome friends. It's so nice. I was just thinking yesterday how, like, man, I haven't seen so many of my friends in so long. I haven't spoken to a lot of my friends in so long, and I know a lot of that's social anxiety on my part. But it's just one of those, like, oh, I miss you guys so much. Oh, that just lifts my heart. Miss you guys too. Yo, Yito, good to see you, friend. Good to see you. Glad to see you're getting up. And it is a pretty chill day. Oh, it's gonna be a chill day until I get to go in the afternoon to a Medicare Council event where I get to shout at a bunch of corporations for raising our rates. Because fuck those guys. They make enough money. Enough with that shit. And that's going to be in a little under an hour. Oh dear. I should probably get my testimony done. But I'm too busy drawing. And if I speak from the heart, it'll probably turn out better anyway. Than if I were to, like, manufacture a thing. I'm weirdly good at improvising that kind of stuff. Trying to find a way to make a hard drive of infinite space so you can download Warframe and play with us. You know, if anyone wants to ever donate a 3 terabyte drive or like a 2 terabyte drive, please feel free. Send it to me. Send me the link, or I'll have it delivered to a post office box or something. Like, we could get that taken care of. I'll never say no to that, but yeah, no. Unfortunately, it's my biggest hurdle, ironically also as an artist, because I am currently working with a 1 terabyte hard drive, doing a webcomic. If you don't know, 1 terabyte is not enough to play video games and do content creation, and also do art. It's just not. There's not enough space. It's just, nope, nope. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things eats way too much space. And did I lose my hair net? I lost my hair thing. Hold on. Oh my god. Ah! Oh my god, it's in there, guys. The struggle. Ha! Got it. We got it, chat. We're good. We're fine. It's like my hair tie. It's killing me. It's actively killing me. It refuses to let go. Alright, we're good. 3 terabytes. I can't even count that high. You know, I'd like that. I have a terabyte on my disk right now. 1 terabyte sounds like a lot. But I recently lost about 4 years worth of work from a hard drive failure a couple of weeks back. So now I've got backups, and I have them in duplicate, but they're still only 1 terabyte, so it's not ideal. It's a solid solution for making sure I don't lose my work, but, you know, a solid solution for not losing my work does not incorporate me getting to play video games and do things like that. Your hair's so long now. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Hold on. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can show you guys off this, because I haven't shown off my hair in a hot minute. So, Chad, I've been growing this out now for... Actually, I've been growing my hair out since the divorce. Oh, God. So that means it's been... nearly 4 years? 5? Something like that. But that's all me. Which is very fun, But I'm in a slightly drier climate, slightly. I actually live off a river, so it's not as big of a humidity difference. But it does mean that my Hispanic hair gets a lot more frizzy. Oh yeah, no, Yito. Deep lore cut here. Deep lore cut. Omni actually used to be married. I was nearly married for 10 years. I was married for 10 years. A little bit. Technically, I was married for 3 years. I was in a relationship for like 12, 13 years. It was serious for 10 years. But yeah, went through divorce. And now I'm currently in a much happier, more pleasant relationship. Many miles away. I used to live in Florida. Now I live in Vermont. So, like, I've been doing content creation now for... It's been over a decade. I've been doing this since... It might be 9 years. It might be about 9 years. It's either 9 or 10 years. Since at least 2016, 2015, something like that. So yeah, so much Omni lore. You want to swim in it? Yeah, please, by all means. If you want to get some of the knots while you're in there too, I would not say no. So, yeah, I thought it was long when we last saw you. Oh yeah, no. Now this is... I don't think I've ever measured it. I don't think I've ever measured this. I think if I go from the follicle to about here... So that is... Giving it out. Oh, God. Let go. Okay. That's about 2 feet. Give or take. Roughly about 2 feet. So, also very, very, very naughty. Very naughty hair. K-N-O-T-T-Y. Don't get ideas, chat. This isn't that kind of stream. And I'm here to make you feel old. Ah, psh. You kidding me? Kids, here's the truth about getting older. It means I have a higher level cap than you. That's all. So, I'm not worried about it. Truth be told, now that I'm in my mid-30s, like, I actually kind of feel more like... How do I describe it? If you've ever seen Captain America, Winter Soldier, you know that scene where he's just sprinting down the hallways, and he's just ramming into walls as opposed to turning? That's what it feels like to be in your mid-30s as me. It's not that I'm older, it's that I'm more massive than I've ever been. Both in terms of being larger, because I eat more, but also because I'm heavier. I'm more muscular. I'm not muscle-bound by any stretch, but, like... If I had to take a harsh turn in a hallway, I would probably prefer to check the wall than I would to turn. To be completely honest with you guys. You're only as old as you feel. Damn straight. I am trying to take better care of myself as well. That helps immensely. So, speaking of, second I say my health. That's just dry throat. I need to have a sip of water. I don't have hydration checks on here yet. One day I'll have the ability to do it. I'm playing the long game, folks. That's how it always goes with content creation. You either play the long game or the fast game. I'm not wealthy enough to play the fast game, so I'm playing the long game. And that means building 3 channels up from nothing while maintaining my old Twitch channel. Which has been very fun, but it also means that it'll be a while before we have things like channel points and stuff like that here, or donations. Speaking of donations... If anyone out there is interested in supporting me, you can find me at patreon.com/TheLastOmnitect. If you are a subscriber there, you get my webcomics 2 weeks early, and all my TTRPG content will be up for free for paying members. So, hey, though my awesome patrons, Ampersand, Atlas Heinrich, and my Tier 2s, Necronomus and Souls Rolls, you guys rock. Thank you. You're the reason we can keep doing these streams and doing my webcomics and doing all my TTRPGs. Just doing my stuff. Thank you for keeping me out of the poorhouse and keeping me creative. Appreciate you. So, anyhow, reminds you of the time I accidentally tackled a toddler during baseball class. What? That's a bit much. No, it's alright. As long as the kid is okay. Is the kid okay? The kid better be okay. But yeah, no. Let's see. I mean, 30s is male genetic peak, so it makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Just gotta take care of myself as best as I can. And hope that's enough. And if it isn't, oh well. I can only do so much. There we go. We can do this. Beautiful. Okay, cool. Yes, he's okay. I promise. In my defense, I was pretty big for my age as well. That's fair. Just don't make a habit of it. don't make a habit of it. All right. I'm sure toddlers around the world will thank you for it. Okay. I don't always go all out when I'm doing the webcomics, like, art. I do have to consider things like the practicality of how replicable is what I'm drawing, how often can I go so hard on so much. But when it comes to this, to, like, environments, yeah, I'm willing to go a little harder on that. There we go. So our color pass is looking pretty good here. I think we're almost done. We're not going to go too much longer. I really want to try my hand at doing something a little more environmentally flavorful. So let's give a shot at it. So my left thumb, I've never intentionally tackled anyone after that. Good. Good, good, good. If not, I'll be there for that thumb. I'll remember. Don't you worry. I will remember. I'll offer now. Hit you up for DMs tonight. Please do, yes. When you're done with the workday, the Medicare thing. I think around 8 p.m. EST. Hit me up around then. I'll be available. And in fact, I should probably jump off myself, folks, because it is 2:30 and that'll leave me an hour to get my deposition going. But this feels like a pretty good start. So let's take a quick moment here, pop this on, and change the text. Because this needs to get fixed. New. Shimgam. Frontier Rim Colony. Hold on. There we go. And this is going to be on MERIDIA. And what sector is MERIDIA? I always forget which sector it is. MERIDIA. There we go. Okay, the MERIDIA is the Orion sector. Oh, it's also in the Orion sector. Let's go! Awesome. And so, just like that, we're good. Feels awesome. And I'm going to just zoom in here a little more. This is going to be way smaller. 5, I think? 5 will do. Cool. So we've got ourselves the beginning of a pretty cool environment, chat. Getting the Gentry Yakuza sent after me, you know it. Good luck with the testimony. It was great to drop in. Good to see you, Kung. Good to see you, Bardo. You're both incredible. Have a great day. To everyone else out there, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. I think this is where I'm going to call it. Or else I'm just going to be here all afternoon and I'm going to miss my deposition. Take care, everyone. And remember, Voyagers, I'll see you next time. Stay safe, and peace.